Hey guys, how you all doing? I thought we'd have a look at this particular article now. The way things are, a lot of us are thinking, should we buy gold and silver? How do we hedge our bets? How do we protect ourselves from the dollar collapse, which is undoubtedly coming? Because while they tell us, Russia's losing the war, Putin's going downhill, in many ways he'd made preparations anticipating exactly what would happen with the sanctions. And if you look at the map of the world, it's only really Western Europe, America, maybe New Zealand, Australia, and Japan that are going along with the sanctions. Even France and Germany are not too sure. And certainly the entire of Africa, Asia, Central Asia, and the Arab world, South America, aren't going along with this. And in addition, Russia's big banks, Gazprom and Sberbank, are not subject to these sanctions because they would cause too many losses in the West. So I think it's far more likely this is going to severely impact the dollar, particularly with Saudi Arabia looking now to abandon the dollar and adopt the yuan for instead of the petrodollar, which, who knows? Maybe that's why they're going to collapse the Saudi Arabian regime, who knows? But when we're thinking of buying gold, I think it's worth just having a little look at this article, and it says, I know you can't see that little bit, it says, when owning gold was illegal in America and why it could be again. Roosevelt signed an executive order number 6201, I think it was, in 1933, and that was, there was a Great Depression, national employment rate was 25%, the whole economy was gutted. FDR realized that he could not print enough money to pay for his spending program by increasing taxes. So they limited the amount of money that could be printed. And the notes had to be backed by 40% gold owned by the Fed. So for every dollar printed, the government needed 40 cents of gold in the bank, which they obviously didn't have. So FDR outlawed gold. He declared that Americans were withdrawing their golden currency from the beleaguered banking system, and that was a national emergency. So he ordered all banks to close from March 6 to 9 in order to prevent the export, hoarding, or earmarking of gold and silver bullion. And he believed this action, wasn't sufficient to prevent runs on the bank and the resulting drain of gold from the system. And so he used the powers granted by the president by the Trading with the Enemy Act to make gold ownership illegal. He issued Executive Order 6102, which made gold ownership both in coins and bars illegal for all Americans and punishable by up to 10 years in prison. Worth thinking about that. That wasn't that long ago. That was FDR in America. I know recently, didn't the Indian government make owning gold illegal? And people would think, yeah, well, how will they know I've got it? Yes, but they could make using it illegal. So if you tried to trade with it or use it in any way or cash it in after it was made illegal, you wouldn't be able to. So it would become virtually useless. So it's worth considering that. And Mike Adams was saying you might be better off buying seeds to use as currency, because even if you don't grow the seeds into a plant, you might be able to barter with someone who is growing plants. Right, so barter could become a thing. I just thought that was rather chilling about the gold. I note that there were lots of adverts running in the last 5 years about places where you could buy gold, and I thought, I bet they tracked every single person who bought gold with that method. Therefore, they know where you are and they can come and confiscate it, right? And if they don't know you have it, you can't use it. So this is worth noting. It's another way they can shut you down. Just the same way as if you have crypto and it's in a wallet with a big exchange like Coinbase, Bittrex, one of the others, they can just tell that exchange to shut you out like they have with Russian users. It also makes me think of what's going on with Roman Abramovic and Chelsea Football Club. Now, I'm not sure whether I totally believe that they are threatening to confiscate assets of Russian billionaires in the UK. Now, Michael Gove said in a very cavalier way that he wants to confiscate the houses of Russian oligarchs in the UK, and use them to house refugees, but he can't really do that legally. But look at the way we're going. Look at this progression. We're now talking about a government, a conservative government in the United Kingdom, confiscating assets. But you think, a lot of people will think, oh, Roman Abramovich, who cares? He's a billionaire. Well, yes, he is a billionaire. He can afford the best lawyers in the world. How can this be happening? Where's the due process? Isn't there any redress? Isn't he taking the government to the court and saying you can't do this on spurious claims that I have these links to Putin? Surely these claims would have to be proven in a court of law. Certain crimes would have to be proved in order to confiscate his property? This seems like just random confiscation on the basis of he's Russian and we think he's got connections to Putin. So at the moment, Roman Abramovich is moving his 2 yachts into international waters. He was in Israel flying his private jet somewhere, I don't know, because he was pictured at the Israeli airport. Chelsea Football Club, which is owned by him, is now only operating under license by the British government. There are all sorts of restrictions, like they can only season ticket holders can go to the games because they can't sell tickets because they can't make a profit. They've closed the Chelsea shops, so they can't sell merchandise to make a profit. They are only able to spend £500,000 per home game, and they can only spend £20,000 per away game. So the government have virtually taken control of Chelsea Football Club under these restrictions simply because he owns it. This is a decline in kind of democratic society. And democracy is not just making a pointless cross every 4 years and thinking that that's your voice, because you're only choosing between two parties that are exactly the same. There's no real choice. But democracy is about property rights, freedom of speech. These are fundamental elements. Now, this is an incredible erosion of property rights. But if you think that it's okay that they do that with Roman Abramovich, take a step back, because they might be thinking of doing the same to you one day for another reason. They're shutting down Russians today. Who are they shutting down next? And like I say, there is no due process. There's no prima facie crime, and there's no defense. There's no way for him to defend himself with lawyers or whatever. It's just a done deal, and the guy's on the run. Now, look, this may not be true. This may be for show. Roman Abramovich might be so well connected that he's playing along with a charade, but at the same time, this could actually be happening. Now, in Ireland, the Republic of Ireland, there's a law on the books that if kind of brought forward, or sorry, I'm not using the right terminology, would mean that people with a spare bedroom or a second home would have to give them up to a Ukrainian refugee. Do you see how property rights are being eroded? And by the way, guys, I'm going to leave a link. There's a little clip from Majid Nawaz's interview with Joe Rogan, where he talks about cryptocurrency and how insidious it is. A government-backed digital currency, not crypto like Bitcoin. A government-backed digital currency is totally insidious because, like I've talked about, it's programmable. It's like a coupon, because it says what you can spend, what you can't. It's not just like cash that you can spend wherever and whatever in whatever way you want. So I just wanted to cover that about gold so that we just will prick our ears and think we've got to be hell of a creative in how we get around this, because yes, they can confiscate gold. They can make it illegal to use gold. They can tell the big crypto exchanges to shut down people's accounts en masse. So don't think that if you've got gold or silver or crypto, you're going to be okay. I just want to kind of alert you to this, because it wasn't that long ago that FDR was making it illegal in America, and I'm sure it's been happening in other countries as well. Just wanted to see if there was anything. I would just, someone said that France and Germany might even leave NATO. They're kind of seeing it. Well, they always did want this European army, so now they might do that. But they're not going to have time to do a European army. That ship sailed. We're moving far too close to the end game in terms of Western economies in the West at the moment. Yeah. And I was just thinking about, Ukraine. And Ukraine has been asset stripped anyway. After Victoria Nuland replaced the government in Kiev after the 2014 putsch, the country has been asset stripped, the oligarchs in control. I know there are a lot of people in Ukraine who think, oh, Zelensky's great because he's going to take us into the EU and then we can be really prosperous like Poland. It's a pipe dream. It was never going to happen, because unless Goldman Sachs really crooked the books, Ukraine couldn't obtain the right sort of parity in order to enter. So it was just a way of conning people that, oh, Zelensky's going to good because he's taking us into the EU and there's going to be this golden new age of belonging to the EU and NATO. That was never going to happen. I think the US was only using this NATO thing to aggravate Russia in order to increase their general hegemony in that area and maybe rile Putin into making a false move. It was just geopolitical, what would you say, skullduggery. I don't think they ever had any intention of bringing Ukraine into NATO, and I don't think they ever had any intention of bringing Ukraine into EU, but it was a great way to get the public to support Zelensky when otherwise they may not have. They might have just looked at this guy and think, what the hell is he doing for us? The oligarchs are getting richer and richer and richer. The rest of the country is in ruin. We're being asset stripped. What the hell is going on here? But because they had this dream of the EU under him, it was kind of, a carrot and a stick, and it was kind of putting a gloss over something that was going on that wasn't that good. And that was, I say, the asset stripping. So I just wanted to leave you with that. I do believe America's used Ukraine, used the Ukrainian people, led them up the garden path. They've parachuted in a whole cabinet of puppets, probably all American educated, like they often do, and who have no real love or loyalty to the country. So hope you guys enjoyed that little quick one.